All right, so we should be good to go.
All right, thank you, Jordan. So Jordan asked us at the beginning to everybody just go ahead and make sure that you have your microphones muted. The faculty are going to keep their cameras on. Thank you. I see Dr. Koch just muted his. That's just to make sure that we don't have any outside noises or cameos that we weren't really planning on for today. So first off, we just want to say welcome to our virtual meeting, and thank you guys so much for being here. The most important thing is that we hope that you and your families are doing well. I know that your plans for this academic year might not be exactly what you had imagined, and so we want to say thank you for joining us today and talking about the chemistry and biochemistry department and St. Mary's. We're so excited to have an opportunity to meet with you guys, even though it's not in person like we would really love to do. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. First, the three faculty here are going to introduce ourselves. We're going to tell you what type of research we work on and what courses we teach. We're going to, then I'm going to give it over to Dr. Koch, who will present a few slides and a little bit of information about the department and really what makes us unique and special and some of the amazing work that we do with students every year. And then Dr. Koch will hand it over to Dr. Shear, who will lead a question and answer session. To do our question and answer session, because everybody's muted and your cameras are muted, you can go ahead and just type a question into the chat function of the Zoom room. And you can do that at any time. So if a question pops in your head while Dr. Koch is talking, you can pop that question in there. We'll probably leave most of the questions until the end of the to the end at the Q&A. But if we see a question that we just have to answer right away, one of the faculty can do that as well. If you prefer to say your question because you don't want to type it all in, just go ahead and write in the chat function, I have a question, and we'll see that and we'll pop the mic to you and you can unmute yourself and ask that question. So yeah, at this time, we're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Dr. Neelis. My research is in chemical education. So what that means is I research how people learn chemistry and what we can do to make it a better experience for faculty and students. I teach general chemistry courses and I coordinate the general chemistry experience at St. Mary's. So if you have any questions about what your first year in chemistry classes would look like, I'm definitely somebody who can answer some of those about what our labs and lectures and everything look like. So I'll pop it to Dr. Shear to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Shannon Shear. I am one of the biochemists of the department. I teach General Chemistry 2 as well as Biochem 1. This coming year, I will be also teaching Biochem 2 and advanced Biochem lab from time to time. So my specialty is enzymes, not the bug, but the protein. So by the end of the courses, you learn that structure and function are highly correlated. And so my research looks into that, but in the context of cancer. So I'm looking at how to prevent it through prevention of DNA damage. Can we detect this damage on a molecular level? Or what causes that damage? And those are the questions that are being answered by St. Mary's students currently in my lab. So now I will give the floor to Dr. Koch.
Hi, I'm Andy Koch. I'm actually been in our department now the longest out of anyone who hasn't retired yet. So I've seen St. Mary's over, well, the last 23 years. My area of specialty is organic chemistry. So we like to think of ways of making molecules do new things. And I'm only one of two organic chemists, and I think you could probably sum both of us up with that statement. We like to design new molecules that will bring about change, and we have quite the facilities to accomplish this, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on. So my area of specialty is organic chemistry, but I'd also like to thank Dr. Nealis, who joined the faculty and introduced us to chemical education, because I think she's dragged us all down that path a little bit. And that's also been really exciting to do too. So, or should I just, all right. All right, so let me just tell you a little bit about St. Mary's. Like I said, I've been here through a lot of different colleagues, and the one thing that I'm particularly proud about is how our department has thought a lot about educating our students as a whole. So I'll jump to the next slide. Okay, so I like to sort of think of this as a three-pillar approach to educating our students here. Developing skills, application of those skills into something a little bit more tangible than just learning for the sake of learning, and then developing the student as a leader. And I think that that's really important. We're not saying that we're pushing all our students into becoming leaders in their field, though we like to provide the support and the resources if they choose to take that path. But no matter where you go in your career, it does require some leadership skills, and we deem those as very important. So we've developed through the years, developing courses and talking with each other about how best to get our students to learn. And that's fine, that's great, it got us so far. But in recent years, we've taken a very new approach to this. We, as a department, get together and discuss the education of our students in a holistic way, not just our individual courses, but throughout the entire year one to graduation, how our students are going to get all of the skills, not just the skills, textbook skills, but the communication skills, the interpersonal skills, the leadership skills to be successful as they go along. So we do this in a couple of ways. We have very challenging classes, but we also offer a lot of resources for our students to meet this challenge. One of the things about becoming a college grad is you're expected to be able to teach yourself anything. And we count on our students being able to teach themselves whatever they need to know by the time they graduate. We teach communication and collaborative skills through integrating some of our laboratories. So general chemistry does a laboratory. This is first-year students where they're doing research on biodiesel. They learn that they can take it so far, but then they lack the skills to move their project on even farther. So they realize that this skill set is achieved in the second year organic lab. They ask the organic lab to collaborate with them and build upon this research. And all along we have communication going from the general chemistry students into the organic labs, the organic students back to the chemistry labs, from the general chemistry labs up into the PChem, which is our junior and senior students. So we have this collaboration going, and students see it from square one. And not only do they see it from square one, but then they're part of the next step the next year. And this teaches them that there's more to just learning the material, that you can actually use this material to accomplish things, tangible things, which leads to building up leadership. For all of this to happen, it cannot be done simply by faculty teaching labs and courses. We have plenty of opportunities for our students to both join the lecture side of things in teaching assistants, or the laboratory side in the form of laboratory assistants. They're not doing the teaching. Faculty do all of the teaching here, but they're offering support and they're working with other classmen as they come up the ranks so as to help them meet the goals. This teaches, this offers a tremendous service for our students coming up the ranks, and it really teaches our seniors and juniors, and in a lot of cases sophomores, how to lead through these experiences. So if I can have the next slide. All right, so I like this because I was on the design team for Good Pasture Hall. And when we sat down and thought about how we wanted to design our space, it wasn't my idea. It was a senior colleague of mine's idea that we really purposely put the research instrumentation, which we have very sophisticated research instrumentation, stuff that most undergraduates in the country never get to touch, maybe never even really get to see. They read about them. We acquire that, we need it. We are a undergraduate research institution, so we have to do research if we want to raise up through the ranks ourselves. But we put that instrumentation in rooms around the academic labs, and we train our students in how to use that in the academic labs. Now, one of the reasons that we went with this is this then allows our students, our research students, to be walking into the academic labs doing research while the labs are in progress. Now our introductory students are seeing these upperclassmen coming through the labs, doing research, getting curious, and this leads to a very robust undergraduate research program. So I can have the next slide. So we all have research students working for us, and we offer a lot of support. They can do the research. We fund it. We provide the space, the guidance, and a lot of guidance through that. But this also then teaches them, and we encourage them to go out and get other experiences. So this was last summer's list of students who successfully applied to research programs. Some of those were at St. Mary's funded. Some of those were external, but we're really proud that our students are able to apply successfully for these very competitive positions, which looks very good on their resume too. Next slide. All right, so the other thing, and Dr. Nealis has been very good at pushing our students for applying for research travel awards. So our students have lots of opportunities to do research. It's not just good enough to do the research. We want them to go out in the world and tell the rest of the world what they're doing. So each year we have a long list of students who attend regional, national meetings, and these can be kind of expensive, so we're constantly looking for funds to help our students get to these meetings and present, but we also encourage them to apply for funding, and each year we get a success story. So here we go for the last academic year, some of our successful students at getting funding. Next slide. And then not only that, but just the congrats for a couple of recent students here. Danielle, well, Dr. Shear can talk more about this because this is one of her students. she needed to do some fairly expensive work. So Dr. Shear said, well, go out and get some external funds for it. And she did. Martin, also, I believe this was a project of Dr. Shear's. Martin presented at an undergraduate research symposium, which is judged, and took first place. So congratulations to those students. Next slide. And then I just want people to be aware that it's not just coursework and academic research during the school year. We have a robust undergraduate summer program. It's funded through external funds, internal funds, and also students who want to pick up some extra credits over the summer by doing some research. So this was our last cohort of students over the summer. It does definitely build in a nice sense of community. Next slide. Okay, so we're also, we have an ACS accredited, American Chemical Society accredited chemistry degree. And as part of that, we have to file a 6-year report. So here's our 2017 was the last time we had to file this report. And one of the things that they have you do in these reports is they give you these 5 categories, and you're supposed to track down every single one of your majors over that 6-year period and put them in one of these categories. So for that time span, we had 161 chemistry and biochemistry majors, and we tracked down all but 20 of them. So that's where we have the 20 others or unknowns. And out of those, we found that our largest percentage of students went off to either a PhD or master's program. And by far, it was mostly PhD programs. Second most after that was MD, but the 38 number corresponds to MD, dental, vet, physical therapy, physician assistant, all of those. And one of the other hats I wear right now is I'm the mentor for pre-health people. So if you got questions about that, I'll be happy to answer some of those later. And then next was private sector, almost equal with our medical professions, people that are gainfully employed in the chemistry or biochemistry industry. And then we have, actually this number should grow with teaching K through 12. We have a very, very good Masters of Teaching program just down the hall. So we attract a number of students who want to major in chemistry or biochemistry with the intent of teaching K through 12. Okay, next slide. So again, thanks to Dr. Shear, she actually put all of this together. She tracked down students, and not all of them. We don't have all of the accepted schools up here, but this is what she had as of, I believe this was January, right? I think January. But this is this year's acceptance rate, which, and this is for graduate programs. And I'd just like to say that this was a slide congratulating students applying to graduate programs. And our students go to the top ranked graduate programs, medical schools, vet schools, you name it, we get them in, or we get them to get themselves in. Next slide. So again, this is kind of unpolished because I put this PowerPoint presentation together yesterday, but I just dug up 2 of our alums, and they're kind of dated alums. I apologize. It's not that we haven't had anyone successful since then, but these are 2 students I knew the best. So I start with Bertrand. Bertrand came to us from Benin, Africa, actually, not speaking a word of English when he got here. His French was very good, but not his English. he got his English up to snuff and joined us at St. Mary's College, and we were very thankful that he did. He didn't know what he wanted to do when he got here. It was almost biology, math, and physics until he took organic chemistry, and then I talked him into coming over to chemistry. And I put chemistry first in his triple major because that's where he spent most of his time. All of his research time was in chemistry. He went off to Columbia to do his PhD work. From there, he was a consultant, a very highly paid consultant for a while. And then right before his son was born, he quit his high-paying consulting job and started his own company. And I think he did the right thing. He's going to be very successful. Now, our students, hey, they do it on their own, but they appreciate the help and guidance that we give them along the way. One more story, if I can have the last line. All right, Mike, or as I call him, he's in the picture off to the left. He's the third from the right in that group. One of the three wise guys. He goes back. He graduated in 2000. That was, let's see, 3 years after I had gotten here. He went off to Scripps to do his PhD work, turned down a number of other very high-ranked graduate programs, mainly because though he was organic chemistry in nature, he was really interested in biology, and he had started off as a pre-med who decided that he liked doing research more than he liked medicine. But he always had a fascination for medicine. So he took a long path. He did a 3-year postdoc at the Sloan Kettinger Cancer Institute in New York City, and then joined the faculty of the University of California, San Francisco Medical School, and is now a tenured associate professor in radiology, still doing organic imaging. And we had him over in the fall of 2019, and there's a picture of our students meeting with Mike, telling them, yeah, you can do whatever you want with your degree. And with that, I'll just turn it over to Dr. Shear to run some questions and answers.
So that was our overview of our department. And I want to point out that even though it seemed like a lot, that's just the iceberg of what our department is doing. It's not just the topic of chemistry and biochem, it's everyday life. It's the air and food we breathe and eat and nurture. And being part of this department is like a family too. We get to know you. That's part of the perk of being St. Mary's. So with that, we would like to get to know you as you are considering joining our family, and we would like to add you to our family.
So we can answer questions obviously about chemistry and biochemistry. We can also answer any questions you may have about St. Mary's in general. Anything we don't know the answer to, either we will pop you towards the right people on campus, or we do have Jordan, who's in admissions, who might also be able to answer some questions. Again, feel free to, yeah, there's Jordan. Again, feel free to put your questions in the chat, or if you'd like to ask your question in person, you can just say that in the chat, and then we will call you out. I can also ask questions of my colleagues.
Am I allowed to jump in and ask a question?
Sure.
So actually, there's a question that popped up in the chat, so I'll save mine for later, but I'm wondering how this skill set that students will gain can kind of be impactful given how much is going on right now, and some of the aspirations and the dreams that they have, and how they can become someone who can really inspire and bring hope through the tools that they gain. So I'll let you guys get to some of the questions in the chat, but that couldn't be one for later.
Okay.
All right.
I got a good answer for that one.
Well, let's get to the student questions first. So I think Dr. Koch, the first question here is probably, well, I mean, Dr. Shear, you pop on this too, but what sort of advanced equipment is available to students in labs? For example, do you have an NMR? So we'll start with Dr. Koch.
Yes, we do, and we're very proud of it. So actually, I was one of the people who wrote the grant to the National Science Foundation to obtain our NMR. It's a 300 megahertz NMR, and it can do everything that we need it to do as far as research and more, because the college actually upgraded the console a couple of years ago, and the NMR could do more like solid state NMR and things like that. So in general, I mean, I think we have a list of our equipment. I don't know how up to date it is, but we have high-end inert atmosphere glove boxes. We have high-end instrumentation. We're a department where, for our faculty to be successful through their going through the ranks of tenure and promotion, they have to publish in peer-reviewed papers. And we can't publish in peer-reviewed paper if we don't have state-of-the-art instrumentation. What makes us a little different from large universities is we'll have one of something, not 5 of something, but the one of something. We also integrate that research equipment into our academic labs. So the NMR, organic students in their second year, whether they're biology majors, chemistry, biochemistry, or philosophy major thinking they're going to medical school, they're going to learn how to use our NMR. And lots of them in their second year can use that NMR unsupervised. Now, our research students are using it far more than they are, but it's our research instrumentation is incorporated into our courses.
Yeah, so I would just add on to that to say one of the things that makes St. Mary's very unique, besides our comprehensive list of instrumentation that we do have on hand, is that because we are an undergraduate institution, we don't have graduate students who are kind of monopolizing the times on that instrumentation. Those instruments are there for our undergraduate students to learn in the academic labs and use in research. And so our students have hands on those things all of the time. So I'll pop us to the next question. What are some good minors to combine with a biochemistry or chemistry major? So we have a material science minor, which is an excellent minor that is combined with some physics program. That one is housed both in chemistry and in physics. And that minor was developed partially because we are very close to a naval base that we do a lot of research with. And so the material science minor helps prepare our students for that, for many different career trajectories, but specifically for something that aligns with the location that our campus is in. We also have students who will minor in biology. We have a lot of students who double major in biology and chemistry at the same time. We do not have
biochem and biology.
Biochem and biology. We do not have a minor in chemistry, which I can go into why that is, but we don't need to spend a ton of time there. Is there any other minors, Dr. Shear or Dr. Koch, that you would add to that?
Math. A lot of our students like the math, and by the time they've finished Calc 2, they're within a few math courses of a minor. So that's another popular one. Neuroscience with biochemistry is pretty popular. And then foreign languages, but they're popular with everything. Yeah. And I think that's really a good combination.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next question is from Mary. Are there research grants for undergraduate students? And I would say Dr. Shear is one of the queens of getting research grants for undergraduate students. So I'm going to pop it to Dr. Shear.
So in the slideshow, you heard about Danielle. I can give more information on that. She's our recent example of students getting research funding, both internally and externally, for her project that she designed. In fact, her project is on glyphosates, the main component of Roundup, which I'm hoping some of you have heard of in commercials, because they think that it's now linked to certain types of cancer. That's still up to debate because there's not enough research out there proving one way or another. So her work is trying to help figure out what is the true data versus what they call false truths or false data. By just looking at the molecular chemistry of Roundup and its components. But because that had nothing to do with my actual research program, I could guide her using my biochemistry background, but told her that she would be limited very much so as far as senior projects goes. By the way, for our majors, we require that you do a year's worth of independent research to get your major. So yes, you will have access to research material for a whole 2 semesters in the process. So she came to me her junior year with this idea, and I said, write it up, we'll see what we can do. Well, instead of just writing up and sharing it with me, she wrote it up and submitted it to Sigma Psi, which is an external group honor society for research. It's a national program. As undergraduates, you can get in and you can apply either being a member or not a member. And she's actually not a member, which made the stakes even higher. But because she had an interesting project and through my guidance, she was able to write a nice 2-page proposal. So these are not very long proposals that you might be thinking we tell you to write. She got money for it. In the meantime, she also applied for St. Mary's Summer Research Fellowship and won that too, so she can learn her training up front so that when she started her senior project, she hit the ground running. So those are 2 of the main sources our students can go for. Now for, depending on your topic, you can also do external ones like Cove Point National Heritage Fund, which is basically for environmental toxicology, which since St. Mary's is in a historical city location, preserving the history and preserving nature is a focus point for both the students, faculty, and just in general, the public. So a lot of funds are towards that students actually tap in. There's also the Watershed Foundation. And those are just the few that I know of from the 3 years I've been here. I'm the newest person of the department. But depending on your topic, you and your faculty will definitely find sources to support your idea. And we do encourage the independent thought more than just finishing a faculty's work.
She is the newest, but she is a force in securing those grants. we look to her for those expertise. All right, our next question comes from Diana. For the pre-vet program, do people tend to double major, and how does that path work? We'll pop that to Dr. Koch. We'll pop that to Dr. Koch.
Yeah, for pre-vet, you can major in anything you want. It really, for all of the health fields, there's really no advantage, I'd say, for a particular major as far as having that stamp on your diploma when you graduate. What these programs are looking for is that you have taken enough of what they call the hard science courses, and organic chemistry, which is what I teach, is one of the hardest required course that everyone has to take for the program. So those aren't my words. Those are the admissions committee's words. So that said, if you're the type of person who can knock off A's in general chemistry 1 and 2, physics 1 and 2, biology 1 and 2, organic 1 and 2, you've proved yourself, okay? You can't get A's in those courses without teaching yourself how to make that material your own. There's just too much material to perform at the A level to do that. And by the way, the brightest organic chemists in the world did not get A's in organic chemistry. They were off doing research and practicing organic chemistry, including our very successful students in organic chemistry. The people who get A's are the ones who are interested in going into the health professions. And the reason it's so important to get A's there is that those professions know that when you get to their programs, it's a vast amount of material similar in nature to the stuff that you're going to learn in these quote hard science courses. It's not the content they're looking for, it's the proof. So if you can knock off A's going right up through organic chemistry, major in philosophy, it's fine, it doesn't matter. Where a lot of our students major in is either biochemistry or biology or chemistry. Why? Because it's really hard to knock off A's going straight through organic chemistry. Not many people can do it. So if you're, let's say, a biochemistry major, fine. So you show improvement going up through organic chemistry. Okay, by the time you get through organic, you've shown them that you can teach yourself the material, or you've convinced yourself that you can teach yourself the material. Well, then you go take biochemistry 1, because Dr. Shear is going to push you even harder than organic chemistry. And if you can show that you can get A's in biochem 1 and 2 after working your way up into the B's in organic chemistry, well, then we can talk about how that is a convincing argument that you can teach yourself the material that will make you successful in something like a vet program or medical or dental. They're all pretty much the same when it really comes down to it. It's the proof, not the content. So that's why biochemistry, biology, and chemistry are the 3 most popular majors for any of the health-related fields.
Yeah, most of those health-related fields have those prerequisites as well. And so if you're going to be taking those courses as prerequisites and you're halfway through that major, then of course the major becomes more, a little bit more attractive. Okay, so I got the note from Jordan that we have 4 minutes. I'm gonna take the next question from Randy. Is it possible for a student to do research in chemistry even though they're majoring in something else? 100%. So in general chemistry, we will start to introduce the different types of research that our faculty do, and we strongly suggest you get into the research labs as early as you possibly can. We have wonderful opportunities to volunteer so that you're not, buying into a ton of time that goes into those, just to see which one fits, see which ones are attractive to you and interesting. And then as you move through your career at St. Mary's, you can pick and kind of land with which research group you want to do some more intense research. And so our St. Mary's project in our department can be done in any field. So I've had some fantastic chemistry students who have done piano or English, SMPs, that's again, that senior capstone project. And it's really incredible to see how those different disciplines kind of come together in that student to create really incredible things. So we absolutely allow people to do research with us, even if they're not necessarily a chemistry major. Final question was, are there any opportunities for external internships? Does St. Mary's have any partnerships? Andy, you've been here the longest. Do you want to talk about our partnerships?
So partnerships are, well, most of the sort of research partnerships are faculty by faculty. So I had a partnership with a colleague at Nebraska, and for 6 years, a bunch of our students would go over to Nebraska and work over the summer. And so the college itself, I'm unaware of, let's say, Jordan, you can talk about that, but most of what I'm aware of is individual relationships between faculty members and other institutions.
We had the Patuxent partnership though.
Right. I just don't, I'm not sure I sort of see how that plays into the research.
Well, so we do research, like I talked about earlier, we have the naval base that is a science hub of the county. And so we have lots of students who do internships over with the Navy. In fact, my husband is in the other room. And if we wanted to talk about somebody who hires interns to work from St. Mary's, he could pop over and say hi. But yeah, we have those types of relationships. We're also, of course, right next to DC, National Institute of Health, FDA, all of those places are just up the road about an hour and a half. We have many students do internships, summer experiences, those types of things with people just up the road.
And Chesapeake Bay, Lay, CBL also, they work with us to help students research go the next step. So if there's resources that they have, but we don't have, and it's for student research, they will work with you too.
We have an awful lot of unofficial programs.
Mm-hmm. Right. So panelists, if you don't mind, is there a good contact or email address that we could share in the chat with students who may have some follow-up questions?
Absolutely. I'll put my email address in there, but I will say that if you go to the department's website, all of our emails are there. It also will provide you information about the type of research each faculty member does, and a ton of other information about the department, what types of courses you're going to take, what you can do with the major, all of that stuff is right there. And so you can feel free to reach out to any faculty member. You will get feedback from that faculty member within a couple of days. And I can say that pretty confidently with all of our faculty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put mine in the chat though. Mm-hmm. Yes, and Dr. Shear is popping in to say, we are accredited by the American Society for Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, as well as the American Chemistry Society that Dr. Koch talked about earlier. So both our biochemistry and our chemistry majors have that accreditation associated with it, which is very important for our graduates when they go to find jobs or go into graduate programs.
And I'd like to also just say, our students, we train them hard, and once a St. Mary's student gets into an institution, that institution seeks us out for more of our students. So that list of graduate programs and then also companies, it's not just one of our students that usually ends up there. The first one gets in, and then everybody keeps pounding us on our door to come visit our students and can we talk to your students? And yeah.
I'll just pop in real quick and answer Mary's question, which I think Dr. Shear was kind of answering, what makes our biochemistry unit special. We were one of the first in the nation to get that ASBMB accreditation, and that was thanks due to Dr. Pam Mertz, who led that initiative to get that accreditation. The other thing I'm going to say is the research, right? You're doing research one-on-one with faculty members from whenever you want to start. Like I said, we tell students in the first and second year to start thinking about it. You're definitely going to do research in your final year because of that SMP requirement. But that one-on-one connection that is, a hallmark of St. Mary's is really going to be what makes us different from other institutions. Jordan, I think you were saying that maybe we're out of time. We want to say thank you to everybody who's participated. I see most names stuck around for the whole thing, so good job sitting through a full hour Zoom meeting. I know those are kind of taxing, but yeah, thank you guys all, and do not hesitate to reach out with questions. We are happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully we will hear from all of you soon.